You hear it before sunrise, 3 hard knocks, a voice through the door. Police, open up. You are half awake, barefoot, trying to understand why strangers are outside your apartment. Then comes the line that sounds calm, almost harmless. We just need you to step outside for a minute. That sentence is the trap door. Because the second you move from inside your home to the hallway, the sidewalk, the porch, the whole encounter can change. The pressure changes, the control changes, your options may shrink before you even realize you gave anything up. So before your hand touches that doorknob, there is one question that matters. Because the biggest mistake is thinking the question is whether to be polite or rude. I am a lawyer and I want to translate this moment into usable words, not courtroom theory. ICE is a federal law enforcement agency under United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Its officers can conduct investigations and make arrests inside the United States. So yes, this is serious. But serious does not mean automatic. Here is where people get played. If officers sound calm, respectful, even friendly, many people assume the request is a command. Step outside. Come talk to us. Just open the door. That is not always legal authority. Sometimes it is consent they are trying to get from you. So this is not about being difficult. It is about slowing the moment down. Door closed, ask for the warrant, ask if you are free to leave, and say nothing substantive without counsel. The first line you need is not an argument. It is a boundary. Keep the door closed, not half open, not with the chain on, not just a crack so they can see your face. A closed door keeps the encounter in the safest legal posture. You are inside the home. They are outside. That line matters. The moment you open it, the situation gets messy fast. They may say you invited conversation. They may step closer. They may ask you to come onto the porch. They may say, since you are already here, just step outside for a second. And now the pressure is happening in their space, at their pace, with your body already moving. That is the trap. Your home has some of the strongest constitutional protection we have. In plain English, the government usually needs proper legal authority to enter, or they need valid consent. And consent does not always look like a signed form. Sometimes it looks like fear. Confusion. A person opening the door because an officer sounded official. So your first line is simple. Say it through the door. I am not opening the door. Please identify yourselves and state why you are here. That is calm. That is clear. That is not interfering. You are slowing the moment down before fear makes the decision for you. But identification is not enough, because the next word they may use is the word that tricks people, warrant. Here is the part most people miss. When an officer says, "We have a warrant," that sentence is not enough. There are different kinds of documents that get called warrants, and they do not all give the same power at your front door. A judicial warrant is signed by a judge or magistrate. That is the kind that can carry authority to enter a home, depending on what it says. An ICE administrative warrant is different. It is usually issued inside the immigration enforcement system. It may have an official seal, it may have a form number, it may look intimidating, but by itself it is not the same as a warrant signed by a judge. That difference is critical. Here is where people go wrong. They hear the word warrant, panic, unlock the door, and start following instructions before they have seen anything. Do not do that. Slow it down. Use exact words. Please slide the warrant under the door or hold it up to the window. Is it signed by a judge? That is the question. Not, are you serious? Not, can you come back later? Not an argument through the door. Ask to see it. Ask who signed it. Look for a judge or magistrate. Because if they cannot show you that kind of warrant, the request to step outside becomes even more important. Because the moment they say step outside, the encounter changes shape. Inside you have a barrier, a door, a threshold, a private space where the rules are different. Outside, you are standing in their workspace. That does not mean they automatically get unlimited power over you. Let me be clear about that. But it does mean you may have made their job easier and your position harder. Here is where people get trapped. The first person hears a calm voice and thinks, if I cooperate, this will stay peaceful. So they open the door, step onto the porch, and now officers are close enough to surround them, question them, separate them from family, or move them toward a vehicle. The second person does the opposite. They yell, they insult, they shove the door, they try to physically block officers. That is dangerous too. Do not turn a rights issue into a force issue. The right move is slower. Stay calm. Stay inside if you are already inside. Keep your hands visible. Speak through the door if you can. And before you move your body across that line, make them clarify what is happening, because your rights are strongest when fear does not make the decision for you. Now comes the shortest question in the whole encounter, and it may be the most important one. Ask one question before you move. Not a speech, not an argument, one question. Am I free to leave? That sentence matters because it forces the hidden issue into the open. If this is just a voluntary conversation, they should be able to say yes. And if they say yes, you can calmly say, I do not want to answer questions, and end the interaction. No drama, no debate. You stay in control. But if they say no, the situation has changed. Now you are not just chatting, you are being detained, or they are claiming authority to hold you there. That is the moment you stop answering questions. Here are the exact words. Am I free to leave? If I am not free to leave, I want to remain silent and I want to speak to a lawyer. Memorize that. The reason this works is simple. A lot of law enforcement encounters turn on whether a reasonable person would feel free to leave. But reasonable person can get messy later. Clear words help create a clear record. You asked, they answered, the line got drawn. But silence only protects you if you use it correctly. Now comes the part where people accidentally hurt themselves. The agent asks, what is your name? Where were you born? How did you enter? How long have you been here? And because you are scared, you try to sound cooperative. Do not lie. Do not argue your case on the doorstep. Do not explain your whole immigration history in the moment. Here is where people go wrong. They think a small answer is harmless. I have been here 10 years. I crossed in Texas. My papers expired. Those may feel like explanations. Later, they can become admissions. An admission is not just conversation. It can become evidence in immigration proceedings. One sentence, said under pressure, can make your lawyer's job harder before your lawyer ever gets involved. So use the script. I choose to remain silent. I want to speak with a lawyer. I will not sign anything until I have legal advice. That is it. If they keep asking, repeat it. If they say, this will be easier if you cooperate, repeat it. If they hand you papers, do not sign what you do not understand. Silence is not disrespect. Asking for a lawyer is not guilt. The bigger lesson is not just what to say. It is who controls the speed of the moment. That is the real opponent here. Not just the officer, not just the badge, not even the knock. The opponent is panic. Panic makes you open the door wider. Panic makes you step into the hallway. Panic makes you answer questions you did not have to answer, sign papers you did not understand, and treat every request like an order. Let me be crystal clear. Asking to see a warrant is not obstruction. Staying silent is not guilt. Asking for a lawyer is not disrespect. Those are not tricks. Those are rights. But rights are not magic words if fear is driving your body faster than your brain can think. So slow the moment down, keep the door closed, use one sentence at a time. So here is the final script, in order, before you move 1 inch. Before you step outside, ask this. Do you have a judicial warrant signed by a judge? Then ask, are you ordering me to come out, or are you asking for my consent? If they are asking, say, I do not consent. I choose to remain silent. I want to speak to a lawyer. That is the script. Keep the door closed. Ask to see the warrant. Ask, am I free to leave? Then stop talking. Save these words in your phone. Share them with everyone in your house. And comment what you want covered next. A car stop or ICE at work.